Je suis sûr que vous connaissez maintenant le KiPro, les Kona, les cartes Kona. Vous connaissez les convertisseurs. On a aujourd'hui du nouveau matériel qui a été présenté au NAB, qui est ship et qui est là, qu'on peut acheter. Alors, j'inviterais, en fait, je crois que Jon n'est pas arrivé, heureusement, mais on a Jon Ruterford qui est avec nous et qui va venir nous présenter, comment tous les outils d'AJA fonctionnent ensemble, comment on peut s'en servir aussi avec plusieurs logiciels. Donc, je laisse la parole à Jon Ruterford, d'AJA.
There was an event out in Las Vegas a few weeks ago called the NAB. We had an opportunity to take advantage of that event and present some new products, make some announcements of some upcoming products, and generally kind of stay the line and focus on what we do best at AJA, which is provide world-class, industry-leading products for professional video broadcast and beyond. So we've got some of the new products up here, like for instance, I've got our new KiPro Rack. I'm going to be talking about that in great detail. We also had some announcements around some of our partnerships, which I'll be talking about. And here we go. So this past year has been a really exciting time for us at AJA. If you're not familiar with what we do, we have a number of different products in the professional video and broadcast space, and we break those down into different categories. The acquisition, the edit, and the conversion side. So on our conversion side, we came out with our new FrameSync, the FS2. It immediately catapulted into a major solution for broadcasters around the world that are looking to literally have two FrameSync processors in one box, and we can do some pretty amazing things between those units. So that's been a really exciting solution for us. We also have some new mini converters that have come out, particularly on the fiber side. There's a lot of interest these days in utilizing fiber, and we're right on the front edge of that. We also released our new UDC, which stands for up-down cross conversion. And that is a little deca-card size converter that has the same quality conversion as our FS2. And then we also turned on, as a free feature set, the ability to do 4K workflow on our Kona 3G cards, both in and out. So I'll talk about that in a little more detail later on. We also released a new Kona LHE Plus card. That's kind of our entry-level card. So it's a great value to just be able to work with our industry-leading quality equipment for systems that are looking to get video in and out. And then the big news is the IO-XT, which I have up here. This is our Thunderbolt, our first Thunderbolt-enabled device. If you're not familiar with Thunderbolt, it's pretty amazing technology. We released that earlier this year. Our partnership with Apple, Adobe, and Avid is continuing to move forward. We're seeing a lot of interest in all those different NLEs, as well as with Autodesk and its new Smoke coming out next year. So we're continuing those relationships, many of which we've been involved with for a number of years. And then we also released our KiPro 3.0 firmware update, which again is a free download, and brought some great new features to that product line as well. As a point to that, we have a KiPro model called the KiPro Mini. That's what it looks like. It's been on the market for a little over a year and a half now. Been a very popular solution for people that are looking to have a camera recorder directly on their shoulder. And we've been able to turn on a feature with that allows for native DNX HD recording as well as ProRes. So again, this is a feature that was not originally even engineered in, but because we own our own intellectual property and we develop and manufacture all our own equipment locally, we have the ability to work with that hardware in a way that other companies may not be able to. And as you notice, there were the three quality standards for that, the 220, the 145, and the 36 megabit. It's an important point because some other companies may only have the 220 support. And if that's all you've got, that's what you've got to work with. We want to make sure everybody has options depending on what their individual workflows may be. We just released our 10.3.1 firmware update. Again, another free download. This brings some more capabilities to Final Cut Pro 10. There's some very specific features that are addressed in that. And as well as our Kona cards, it's also supporting the IO-XT and the IO-Express, which are both the external kind of more portable solutions in that space. On the Avid front, we've been working very aggressively with them in the Media Composer 6 model. We've had great success with that. We're going to continue that relationship. We've been working with Avid for a number of years now, and it's great to see all of these pieces finally start to fall into place. So this has been a great partnership, and we're going to continue to look forward to that with more developments. And on the Adobe front, CS6 is shipping. Literally just got the email today. Our plugin support for this will be available on our support page in about 30 minutes. Sorry I couldn't get any faster. That was the quickest I could push those guys to make that happen. So we're very excited about that, and we're looking to continue that development relationship as well. So the IO-XT, as I mentioned, is our Thunderbolt-enabled device. One of our other partners, Autodesk, has embraced that technology and is very excited about the opportunity with their new Smoke on Mac, which you'll be hearing about more, to be able to actually work on a laptop with that. Now with our IO-XT and the Thunderbolt capabilities, you've got a way to get monitoring out and really leverage the power of Smoke on Mac. The reason I've got these other icons across the bottom is because we have a single driver that gets installed on the system. When you install that driver, any application that you put on that system that can talk to our drivers can just work with it. There's no partitioning required. There's no special drivers that have to be installed. It's a single driver set that works with all the different applications out there. We also introduced another new Thunderbolt product at NAB called the T-Tap, and that's what it looks like. And this is how big it is. It's bus powered, so it's got Thunderbolt on one side, HDMI and HDSDI on the other side, and those are 3G, HDSDI, and HDMI 1.4. So we've got some pretty amazing capabilities with this little box as far as being able to get video out of a host system that can, again, address our individual drivers. So that's the close-up of the ins and the outs. And probably the simplest workflow diagram I've seen in a while. There's the host computer, there's this box, and then there's monitors. So it's a very simple installation, and as you can see, it works with any of the other applications that, again, can talk to our drivers. So we've got the ability to immediately provide that functionality with systems that maybe are already using some of our other tools, particularly laptops. There's the price point, and coming very, very soon. So that's the T-Tap. Our KiPro line is our digital recorders. Been very, very popular. Want to thank all of you who have helped us make that product line so successful, because we had a real passion and a desire to make that a successful endeavor. We kind of created that market, created that device and that need, not the need, but met the demand for it. And we're very pleased that it's been so successful and that so many of you have been using it. As you can see from the photo here, we've got some distinctive uses for it where people are putting it into some different environments that we may not have originally designed that for. And so what we did was we came up with a whole new form factor called the KiPro Rack. As I said, that's this unit up here on the table. And it's literally a virtual deck replacement. It's a file-based deck replacement. So the idea is that anything that you're currently using a deck for, this becomes the perfect fit for that. And that's the front of it. And that's what it looks like when it's in a rack. Now, if you can figure the math out here, there's a couple of other decks in place. Those decks are about 4U, and ours is 1U. So from a density standpoint, you can very easily populate a rack with a number of these and get some great workflows around capturing ISOs as well as program feeds, doing up-down across conversion. As we saw in the live video, that's what the front of it looks like. Very simple, follows the same conventions that we use on all of our KiPros. The idea is that you can literally take this out of the box, put it in a rack, plug it in, turn it on, and do all the configurations from the front panel. You don't have to plug in a computer if you don't want to. Even formatting drives you can do directly from the interface on the front of the unit. So every single parameter of control that's available is available directly through that front interface. Some exciting bullet points. An important key point here is the 10-bit up-down cross conversion. With our FS2, we were able to utilize very, very, very high-quality conversions. We've now taken that same chipset and not only put it into our UDC, as I mentioned a moment ago, but has put that now into our KiPro Rack. This is amazing conversion capabilities, and we've got all sorts of ways that we can manipulate signals coming in and going out, as well as obviously recording those to the hard drives. Number of different ways to control it and configure it, as I mentioned, the front panels, as well as utilizing the web UI, which is accessed through the Ethernet port on the back. Speaking of that Ethernet port, notice the file transfers, 80 megabytes per second. How fast is Firewire? Yeah, so it's as fast as Firewire, and you can literally just put this thing in a room and file transfer over that Ethernet port. Makes it much, much more efficient for workflows. Here's what the front and the back look like. We've seen the front. We've got 2 drive bays, and then all the ins and outs you could think of on the back, dual power supplies. All the outputs are simultaneously hot and can be uniquely configured depending on what type of conversion you want to apply. With our original KiPro, we introduced what we call the Keystore. It's a storage module. Those same modules work with our existing KiPro as well as the new KiPro Rack. So the idea is for customers that already have those drives, you can continue to use them. The important thing is these are proven, solid, 6-point shock resistant units. So they're very stable, they're very reliable, and we wanted to make sure we continue to support that. So again, fully backed by our team because we manufacture those modules. Another little workflow diagram, sources coming in, monitoring, control, and output, all from a 1RU appliance. There's another extension calling out the 80 meg per second file transfer over the Ethernet. So again, it's something a little different in the workflow. You can always get signal out, but now we've got different ways of getting that information, particularly to an editing system. Between the ProRes and the native DNX HD encoding, we fully support all the NLEs. So just like with our existing KiPros, the KiPro Rack is going to be a perfect fit from lens to post. And that's how much it costs, and it is shipping immediately. We actually announced this the Monday of NAB and started taking orders immediately, And again, there's been a huge demand for them, so we're ramping up to meet that. So what that's done is it's really filled out our KiPro line with the different products. And now I need to get to 4K because I'm watching that clock. There's been a lot of interest in that. With our Kona 3G card, as I mentioned, we fully support 4K both inbound and outbound. That was a free firmware update that was released about a year ago, and we're fully on board with 4K. A company called Canon at NAB made an announcement of a 4K camera they're going to be releasing later this year called the C500. Interesting camera, needs a recording solution. So what it really needs is a KiPro. So we came up with a new KiPro Quad, 4K digital recorder. And the idea is that we can work natively with a 4K. We can take that raw data stream off the camera. We can debar it directly in our unit. Once we debar it, we can then hand out the signal over 4K monitoring. We can also down convert to HD and monitor. We can encode to ProRes 444, all the things that you would do with normal imaging. We also have the ability, as you'll see, to transfer that raw 4K information, that data stream, through the Thunderbolt port and do things with it downstream. That's what it looks like on a camera. So same type of form factor as our KiPro Mini. It's small in the sense that it's something that can be easily attached to existing camera systems. It's a little wider because we needed to make some more space for this stuff, the ins and the outs, and we even put a confidence monitor on the front of it. Lot going on in the back there. So here's a fairly straightforward workflow for ProRes. We take the camera data stream, the 4K data stream, over a single 3G HDSDI cable. We debar it and encode it to ProRes. You take the storage module out of the unit, put it into a card reader that we're going to also be offering, connect that over Thunderbolt to your editing system, and literally work right off the drive or transfer the files and work with them accordingly. This is ProRes 444 at 4K resolution. Very, very high quality. This is a little more interesting. This is the raw workflow. So again, we take the signal. This time we pass it, that raw data stream, through the Thunderbolt port, daisy chain it through some storage to the laptop in this case. We've got an application that will actually debar and capture that as a file, and then we can push that back over to the storage. Now in this case, Canon has its own software that it utilizes to do corrections and work with that 4K raw file, but the idea is that you can literally do all of this in a portable environment. On-set monitoring, there's 4 3G HDSDI ports for 4K, as well as a dedicated down-converted HDSDI and HDMI. All of that's happening simultaneously. So now here's the final workflow. Camera to recorder. Let's encode to ProRes. Let's hand off the 4K stream to the editing, to a capture system. Let's hand off the debarred 4K for monitoring. And oh, by the way, let's do the down-converted HD ×2. All of that happening in real time. Other than that, it's not doing too much. It's also not just for 4K. We can handle anything downstream of 4K. So 2K cameras, anything with 444, it's our first 444 recorder. So all of our other recorders are working in 422. This brings a whole new level to the workflow by being able to work with the 444. That's what the storage modules are going to look like. We're going to be manufacturing them because the spec is so specific. We need to make sure that we can support those, and then we'll also be offering a drive reader which will have Thunderbolt and eSATA, so if there's any problems with systems that don't have Thunderbolt yet. Some other accessories. Our existing mounting plate for our KiPro Mini will also fit the KiPro Quad. Here's a quick quote. And yep, and there's price, and it will be available later this year. So we're going to go through a couple quick workflows. One will be utilizing Final Cut Pro 10, which, as you're probably all aware, does not support video ingest. So I'm going to show a couple of different ways where we can bring some content into Final Cut Pro. What I've got up on the screen right now is the web UI of the KiPro Rack that I've got sitting on the table here. So you can see I'm looking at this menu structure, which is just the way that we present all the different parameters for the device in this web UI. So I've got one submenu here called Media, and when I go in there, there's a number of different options here, including the ability to choose the different encoding choices. But what we're going to particularly look at is this option here called Media State. And what this does is it determines what condition the device is in. Is it recording and playing back content, or is it ready to transfer, either upload or download content? So by default, it's on record playback. What I'm going to do is change this to data transfer. And so now when I go to my clip menu over on the left-hand side, and I see a list of all the different clips that are available on the device, you'll see in this upper area, there's an upload and download button. So what I'm going to do quickly here, just because I want to be efficient with our time, is I'm just going to find a clip that's like this one right here, this IO Express. And I'm just going to say download. And you'll see what that's going to do is immediately start downloading the file from the device to my host computer. So I'll hide that, and you can see in my downloads folder, that one's downloading. This one is already downloaded. It's one I did just a few minutes ago. And in fact, the other one is already done as well. Automatically opens. We can see that the video is there. So now I'll jump into Final Cut Pro 10, do a simple import. And just import those, and we'll get a new project. And I could trim these, I could do whatever I want as far as working with that content, but just drop it into the timeline. And we're ready to go. Now the other option is when you've got signal. So I've got a camera hooked up here. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to use our software called Btr Exchange, which is essentially a tool that we provide free with our drivers that allow you to just take any of our cards or I/O devices and use them as an ingesting tool, regardless of whether you actually have software that can do that. So you can see that we're getting, wave out there, you're on camera. Come on, I want to see some moving pixels. So I just do a quick capture now here. I've already set up a scratch disk for it, so the files are already going, in this case, to an external drive. So we'll just capture that little clip. And when we go back to Finder, we look in here. And the file's not there. There we go. So now we can preview it. And there's the file. So now we'll go back into Final Cut, import. And there you are. Look at that. You actually worked. You're actually seeing yourselves. So that's a simple workflow for Final Cut Pro. We can either bring the files in directly off our recorded media, or through virtual VTR, you're able to actually capture a live signal either through camera or through another source. Control panel, which is just our software for configuring and manipulating the IOXT in this case. And what we'll do is now go into Avid Media Composer. So obviously with Media Composer, you have the ability to ingest directly within the software. So what we do with our drivers and our plugins is we communicate directly with the software to provide that capabilities through our cards, or our I/O device in this case. And so we'll just bring up our capture tool. And again, we're seeing the live signal. I just need to name the tape here. That's selected. What I've done here is I've chosen from the compression options DNX HD 145. I could go 220 if I wanted to, but in this case I want to do 145. There's also options for ProRes. And okay, so we'll start capturing. That's what we're looking for. So you can see we're in the process of capturing, and I've got video as well as audio. So if you talk, you will hear yourself as well as see yourself. There you go. That's going to show up because it's a glowing screen. And there it is. So we'll close the capture tool. There's the clip. Watch for the moving, glowing screen coming up here. Look at, you're all waving, you're all, oh, and there's someone played with the lights back there. That's even better. There you go. There's that waving screen. And then we can just drop that into our timeline and get right to the, there we go. So that's it. Full interactivity with them, particularly with Media Composer. Thank you so much.